Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Dario here with another Options and Play video update. So today I'm going to talk about something you probably don't hear too often from me, which is unusual options activity, right? Or option size, unusual size, big size, large blocks, or whatever you want to call it, right? I know there's a lot of people that trade options out there that focus kind of exclusively on it. I don't. It's not really my thing. Doesn't mean that I don't think it has its utilities because I definitely do. There are definitely scenarios, certain instances where I really like to see it, and or we'll definitely take notice if I do see it. And to me, one of, if not maybe the most interesting or one of like my favorite times to watch for it is when a stock is working on like a really critical technical setup. Okay, uh, so normally option activity, I feel like you never really you can never really be sure what all the unusual size is looking for or what they're doing with it, right? So for me, like I feel like there's a lot of like false signals, a lot of like head fakes, a lot of like misdirection. Sometimes the size could be a hedge, sometimes could be a straight up like directional trade. I mean, you don't really know what's exactly going on with it, except in like certain situations, and that's why for me, when I see a stock working on a really critical level, I love to see that unusual size come in, like that really significant option participation, because it signals like trader interest, right? It signals like trader participation at that level. All right, so let me talk through it. AMD. All right, everybody is familiar with AMD, right? I'm sure most of you guys were probably watching this on earnings, or if you weren't watching earnings, maybe you're watching after earnings, right? Because this 35 level came into play. This was a huge area of resistance over the last year and a half. Me personally, I was a little bit more skeptical that the stock was going to clear it on earnings because it had kind of like it had kind of like a big run into numbers, and I felt like it probably needed a little bit of a pause, or the numbers would have to be like exceptional to get through it immediately. Long story short, the numbers were pretty solid. I mean, not a blowout, not bad by any stretch. Stock didn't go through it initially, but then in the aftermath, you can see it started to build, right? So numbers here, and then in the aftermath, it started to build, and it cleared this really critical 35, 36 area a couple days later. So say about a week, right? Now, um, that was like kind of like the point where I was watching it, right? Because when you have a breakout on a name like AMD through like a multi-month, like almost like a year-long resistance range, especially strong tech tape, strong chip stock tape, it's one of those moves that really catches my attention because I think it could be like an explosive setup. All right. Now, what I was watching for was option participation when it started to trade through that 35. Didn't really see it. Didn't really see it. So that's why I was kind of like sitting, waiting, watching, and seeing like how the stock behaved. Well, you got like this pause. So it was overbought when it actually did clear this area, but then it paused, right? So kind of paused, hung out, formed like a quick flag, right? It's what I call a quick flag. So a few day flag above a really critical area, right? 8 EMA caught up. So you guys know how much I love those 8 EMAs when they catch up to like these fast developing patterns, right? So the 8 EMA caught up here. And then you started to see the option participation kick in, right? You started to see some real size, some like longer dated trades start to hit the tape. There was one almost like a year out, through like the January 21, or that was over a year out, and now you're seeing like January size really take off. So as the stock broke out, wasn't like particularly big. I mean, there was size going, but there wasn't maybe like a huge size. Well, after like the base, then you start to see the size really start to pick up as the stock started to base. Then you started to see people step in and take really bullish like blocks, right? Like buy upside blocks, out of the money blocks, far out of the money blocks, with more time on them too. So it's like you got the move, the technical move, right? And then all of a sudden you start to see the trader participation, right? And to me, that's a fantastic sign. Like that's one of like the things that really gives me conviction when a stock has like a really interesting technical setup working on like a critical level, and then you see like that huge option participation kick in because it just shows you that there's traders there that are interested in the levels, right? That are going to be participating in the stock or participating in the options at that area, and just signals that it could really kind of like kick it into overdrive, right? So, it's not just AMD; it's like setups just in general where I'm really focused on like critical levels, and there's like a breakout or a breakdown or reversal, whatever it is. I really like to see the option participation really accelerate when it's working on those levels because that to me signals the more eyeballs, right, more people focused on it, and the possibility for a faster, quicker, better, more clean move. Okay, AMD was a recent example, but it happens a lot, and it's just something like I'm always on the look for, always on the watch for, and I know like I don't really spend a lot of time talking about unusual size, but it's because like I feel like it has certain applications. It's not just just kind of like blindly like following like when you see a big block of calls bought or big block of puts bought. I really like it when you see that size kick in at these really critical areas, really like interesting technical setups, right? And that to me like kind of is like the area where I start to get the conviction when you have the combination of like a great setup and then the option participation. All right. So I'm sure you guys have seen this before, and it's probably not nothing new to you, but I just find that like these are like the types of scenarios where I really have like higher conviction in like these swing trades. So if you see me talking about it, it's probably why. So when I talk about size, it probably has something to do with this. All right. But I mean, I'd love to hear your thoughts because like I know a lot of people do focus on the unusual option activity. So I'd love to hear how you approach it, what you think maybe of AMD, what you think of maybe like the size building up with the potential, right? I'm still thinking like AMD probably has some room. Nvidia numbers tonight, so that's definitely going to impact it. But a measured move would probably put it in the high 30s where it's at, but a name like AMD could really take off. So I feel like this is one you really want to keep on your radar. All right. So questions or comments, reach out. I'd love to hear from you. If you like these videos and you want more information on options trading, or if you're looking for options trade ideas, follow up with the description and the link of the video for more information on options in play. All right. Have a wonderful night and keep an eye out for earnings on the radar, which should be out tomorrow afternoon. All right. Have a good one. I'll talk to you all tomorrow.